Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Tudor Pelagos reference 25600TB. This watch is available from Chronex.com for €4,330. You can purchase the watch from Chronex.com online or alternatively in person at the boutiques. All their watches are Chronex certified original by their in-house watchmakers, and all their watches are covered by the Chronex 24-month warranty. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with the piece. So the Tudor Pelagos comes in this black cardboard outer watch box. One removes the lid, pulls down the flap, and I'll show you the watch box itself. So very aesthetically pleasing with the Tudor shield in glossy black on the hinged lid. The interior is very well finished. As you can see, it's fully upholstered with an attractive velour fabric. And with regards to the other items, one gets two rubber straps with the watch. As you can see, there are two lengths to the buckle and tang side, so one can wear it around a wetsuit, for example, with a longer length, and one also has the standard length. And bear in mind that these straps are meant to fit the integrated end links in the bracelet, so they are a very good fit to the piece. One detail I like is the use of a titanium buckle and tang, and as you can see they have incorporated the Tudor Shield logo to the shape of the buckle. So very nice attention to detail, good quality rubber straps, and nice to see these included with the piece. This is the other side of the strap, and as you can see, textured finish to the underside, very well executed and shaped to fit the end links in the bracelet, so very well executed. With regards to the other items, this is a full set piece. It's a brand new unworn 2021 piece. It comes with the original Tudor price tag, as you can see. One also gets the plastic guarantee card. For security, I've blacked out the serial number, but you can see the full reference number of the piece is the 25600TB, which denotes this is the blue dial version of the Pelagos, and this is a brand new unworn 2021 piece. You can see the date of purchase is the 7th of August 2021. One also gets this official chronometer certification booklet. One also gets an owner's instruction manual, which is in Mandarin, and also the English version of the owner's instruction manual, so very useful read for unfamiliar with the piece. So the watch box has a compartment in the rear, as you can see, and that houses the straps which I've just shown you, and the watch itself sits on a padded pillow cushion, as one would expect, in the centre section, so nicely upholstered. Very similar design to Rolex watch boxes, and also the padded pillow cushion is also a similar design. So credit to Tudor for a very well executed watch box. With regards to the specifications of the piece, this is the Tudor Pelagos reference 25600TB. 42mm case diameter. It has a 50mm lug-to-lug measurement, a thickness of 14.3mm, and it has a 22mm lug width. The bracelet tapers from 22mm at the lugs down to the flip-lock clasp, which is signed with Tudor. One detail I like about the flip-lock clasp is it incorporates the Tudor Shield logo to the clasp, so very nice attention to detail. And as you can see, it is finished to perfection. Beautiful luster to the titanium flip-lock clasp, which is brushed satin finish on the top side, underside and flanks. The bracelet is titanium and is also finished to perfection. Beautiful luster to the titanium. It's got a more grey satin finish than 9040 oyster steel used by Rolex, and I like that characteristic of the titanium. It makes a refreshing change from 316L grade stainless steel and 9040L. Brushed satin finish to the top side, underside and flanks, and we have screw pins in the bracelet links. So the watch is entirely made from titanium, but the clasp does have some stainless steel parts which are made from steel inox. So the bezel is solid titanium, a fully loomed matte blue ceramic bezel insert, and I really like the colour match. Tudor deserve full credit because they've got an outstanding colour match between the matte blue ceramic bezel insert and the matte blue dial. So I like the 3D effect of the chapter ring, and one feature I really like about the Pelagos versus the Black Bay 41, for example, is the use of a Snowflake Dial. I think Tudor have made the correct decision by using the snowflake hands with the snowflake indices. I think that they should have done this on the Black Bay 58 and also the Black Bay 41, because the Snowflake indices work better with the Snowflake hands rather than the Submariner dial layout as used in the Black Bay. So date complication at 3 o'clock. I like the symmetry of the dial. Now, one minor criticism is at the 6 o'clock position, this is the in-house version which uses the caliber MT5612 movement. They have 5 lines of text, and I dislike this. I think that the ETA version, which only had 3 lines of text, was better. Having so much text at the 6 o'clock position makes the dial busy, it makes it cluttered, and I think it would look cleaner and therefore more aesthetically pleasing if it only had 2 or 3 lines of text rather than 5. So with regards to dial execution, it's very good looking, and as you can see it has a nice 3D effect due to the chaptering which indexes the minute ticks. The flat sapphire crystal has clear AR coating on the underside, and that works very well to reduce the glare and the highly reflective nature of the matte blue dial. So let's test the bezel action. 120 click unidirectional bezel as one would expect. Nice firm resistance to it. It feels heavier. The indexing of the clicks are heavier than on a Rolex Submariner date, for example. I like the loud audible clicks, and I like the heavy indexing of each of the 120 clicks. It feels smooth all the way through the 360 degrees of rotation. No lateral side-to-side play whatsoever. No back play whatsoever. It is the perfect bezel execution. I would actually say I prefer it to the Rolex Submariner bezel execution due to the heavier indexing, and needless to say the loomed triangle on the bezel insert aligns perfectly with the 12 o'clock index on the dial, so no alignment issues whatsoever. It is the perfect bezel. Solid titanium, and I like the coin edge finishing to it, which makes a refreshing change from the scallop teeth which is often used on Submariner watches, for example. I like to see coin edge finishing. Very grippy, it's also low profile and very aesthetically pleasing. Nice matte finish to the coin edge finishing to the bezel. The left hand flank of the case incorporates the recessed helium escape valve, finished to perfection, beautiful longitudinal brushed satin finishing, and I like the large chamfers to the edge of the case which mark the transition between the tops of the lugs and the flanks. So brushed satin finish throughout, no mirror polishing, and it gives the watch a real tool watch aesthetic. One feature I really like about the Pelagos is the use of female pivoted end links. As you can see, that allows the end of the bracelet to articulate underneath the ends of the lugs. It gives a very tight snug fit to the wrist. It pulls down the ends of the curved lugs down to the wrist. So I really like the female pivoted end links. Good tight fit to the case and beautifully finished. So let's test the crown action. Coin edge finished, and it's solid titanium signed with a Tudor shield which is embossed to a high standard. Absolutely silky smooth. There's no discernible difference between a Tudor crown action and a Rolex triplock crown used as per the Submariner and the Submariner date. It's got the same silky smooth thread action, minimal resistance required to unscrew it. So in the first position it's the manual wind position, and one can manually wind the caliber MT5612 to its maximum 70-hour power reserve. Pulling it out to the first click position is the quick set date position, and as you can see the quick set complication works as one would expect. Pulling it out to the final click position hacks the movement. As you can see, I have now hacked the second hand, and that is the time setting position. Good firm resistance to the caliber 5612. It's a characteristic of the movement. One can feel the resistance of the gears in the movement. I actually like that, and it's very smooth to operate, although there is firm resistance to the gearing, so absolute pleasure to operate it. Pressing it back in, it's got a nice positive click, and that restarts the movement. As you can see, the Snowflake second hand begins to sweep around the dial. Immediate pickup to the internal thread of the solid titanium screw down crown and the external thread of the titanium crown tube. Perfect bezel, perfect crown action, and it really is a credit to Tudor. The crown action is exactly the same quality level as Rolex, which of course is significantly more expensive with the Submariner and Submariner date. The case back is solid stainless steel, longitudinal brushed satin finishing to the centre section, engraved to a high standard with the specification of the piece, and low profile coin edge finishing to the circumference of it. Absolutely beautiful to look at, and it's very smooth and flat on wrist, so it's a very comfortable case back to wear against the skin. The solid end links are made from solid titanium, and they are finished to perfection, as is the underside of the case, brush satin finish throughout. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now I haven't sized the bracelet, I've simply taken the watch out of the watch box, and I'm pleased to report that it fits my 8-inch wrist with no difficulty whatsoever. One feature I like about the clasp is it has 2 springs in it, and as you can see, that allows for a spring-loaded action when the clasp is in position 4. So it has 3 micro-adjustment positions which are fixed, and the 4th position is a spring-loaded position, and that means the bracelet is self-adjusting on the 2 springs which I'll show you, and that means it gives a very comfortable fit when one's wrist expands in warmer weather or when one is active. The bracelet compensates for that. It automatically self-adjusts using the spring-loaded action, so one gets the perfect fit at all times. Good taper to the 22mm bracelet, slight taper down to the flip-lock clasp as you can see, and beautiful satin luster to the titanium, absolutely gorgeous to look at. Nice taper to the lugs, and I like the large chamfers on the edge of the case as I've discussed. Now it's a relatively large piece at 42mm, and it is a long piece with a 50mm lug-to-lug measurement. As you'll know from my previous reviews, I consider 48mm to be the sweet spot for all collectors, regardless of whether you've got a 6 to 7-inch wrist or a 7 to 8-inch wrist respectively. So at 50mm it is a long case, and straight away I'm going to say this Pelagos is best suited to collectors with a larger 7 to 8-inch wrist. If you have a 6 to 7-inch wrist, you may find the 42mm by 50mm lug-to-lug measurement to be too large, too much wrist presence to wear for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day. Now the other thing to note is it is a tall piece at 14.3mm. It does sit very tall and proud on wrist. So if you wear business shirts, this is a difficult piece to slip underneath the shirt cuff because it is 14.3. Really, I regard 13mm to be the comfortable maximum as per the Submariner and Submariner Date, for example. They will easily slip underneath the shirt cuff, but at 14.3 this is a tall piece and it is going to be more difficult to slip underneath the shirt cuff. It does sit very tall on the wrist. But if you have a large wrist of 7 to 8 inches, you may enjoy the 42mm large case with the 14.3mm thickness. Now, although it is a large piece, it is deceptively lightweight. It's only 149 grams of heft. I regard 150mm to be the sweet spot for heft and wrist presence for a circa 40mm case. So if a dive piece is 40 or 42, 150 grams gives comfort wearing the piece for long periods of time as a daily wear piece. Because this is entirely made from titanium, the head of the piece and the bracelet are titanium and the clasp, it's only 149 grams. If it were made from stainless steel, it would be closer to 200 grams, which would be uncomfortably heavy to wear for long periods of time. Now the other thing to bear in mind is it does also come with the rubber strap, so if you find the 149 grams of heft on the bracelet to be too much, you can also substitute it for the rubber strap, and the rubber strap will fit the female end links because they have the integrated shape to the ends of them. So that's something to consider wearing the piece on the rubber strap. Feel good factor is outstanding, and also the comfort level is outstanding. I love the low profile to the coin edge finishing of the titanium bezel and the matte finish of the fully loomed ceramic bezel insert. Good looking piece and very good feel good factor. Now I'll show you the clasp in detail because it's another one of my favourite aspects of the piece. Now one thing I like about Tudor clasps, and the Pelagos is the same as the Black Bay in that it incorporates the use of 4 ceramic ball bearings. Often flip-lock clasps only have 2 ball bearings, and they're usually made from stainless steel, either 316L grade stainless steel or 904L oyster steel in the case of Rolex clasps such as the Glide Lock. But as you can see, this has 4 ceramic ball bearings, and the ceramic is a superior material than stainless steel because it's harder and therefore it will last for a longer length of time. So in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, this flip-lock clasp is still going to snap shut with the same positive feeling as a brand new piece because it uses ceramic ball bearings which aren't going to wear down with regular use, rather than stainless steel ball bearings. And Tudor deserve full credit for this because it is an innovation and it is very effective. The interior of the clasp is made from titanium and steel inox, as you can see. Brush satin finish to the top side, underside and flanks, beautifully engraved with Tudor Geneva, and it's an absolute pleasure to look at, so perfectly finished throughout. So I'll show you the underside because that's also innovative. As I've discussed, in position 4 it activates the spring-loaded clasp, and as you can see there are 2 springs in the underside. So in position 4 these springs maintain a consistent tension on the bracelet, and it self-sizes to the perfect size. As one's wrist expands, the clasp also expands with the spring-loaded action. Now, as I've discussed, it also has 3 fixed micro adjustment positions, and one can pull out the underside of the bracelet and set it into one of the 3 positions to get perfect on-the-fly adjustment. So really, Tudor deserve full credit for this because it is an innovative clasp design and a credible alternative to the Rolex Glide Lock design. Now, Tudor have recently come out with a new adjustable clasp called the T-Fit, and they fitted it to the Tudor Black Bay Bronze, and I'm hoping they're going to incorporate the T-Fit clasp, which is similar to Rolex Glide Lock mechanism, into the Black Bay and Black Bay 58. Currently it's only available in the bronze version of the Black Bay, but I think this clasp is also a credible alternative. I like the 3 micro adjustment positions, which are easy to engage. As you can see, they've got a nice click feeling to them. Pulling it out to the 4th position, as I've discussed, puts it into the spring-loaded position, and as you can see there's lots of adjustment. It has 15mm of adjustment there, so plenty of adjustment. One doesn't need to keep resizing the bracelet by removing the screw pins. Another feature I like is, if you look, there's a push button engraved. If you press the end, it deploys the diver's extension link to fit the bracelet around a wetsuit. Very well executed, and I'll show you it's got a nice positive click when engaging it back together, as you can see. So throughout it's very well executed. The clasp is one of the better clasps I've seen on a watch, and bear in mind this is a mid-tier price point piece at €4,330. These are the kind of innovations one would expect to see on a high-tier piece costing in excess of €10,000. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. As you can see, it fits very well, and the spring-loaded clasp works very well. I've now got it in the fixed 3rd position, very comfortable to wear. So let's do a loom test and we'll see how the loom performs when it's charged up to its absolute maximum. Now, I've got very high expectations of the loom used because Tudor is known for using top grade superluminova, which is very similar in performance to Rolex Chronometer. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to its absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. This has actually exceeded my expectations. Fully loomed ceramic bezel insert. As you can see, the first quarter, the first 15 minutes are fully indexed with minute ticks. Looms triangle and loom pip, as you can see on the ceramic bezel insert, absolutely outstanding. And again, this reinforces my earlier statements that Tudor should have used the Snowflake Dial on the Black Bay 41 and the Black Bay 58 respectively, because the Snowflake indices give a better performance than the Submariner dial layout used as per the 58 and also the Black Bay. I really like the fully loomed ceramic bezel insert, and I would actually say that this is superior to the Rolex Submariner and the Submariner Date, which has Cerachrome infilled with platinum. The superluminova used is very similar to Swiss BGW9 superluminova. It has that characteristic blue tone, and it looks identical to Rolex Chronometer. So really there's no discernible difference between Rolex Chronometer and the BGW9 superluminova that Tudor are using. As you can see, they are equal in performance. The loom is glowing very brightly on the snowflake hands and the snowflake printed indices, and it's continuing to glow for a good length of time. This is absolutely 10 out of 10 performance, so it's just incredible. Right, so let's discuss the movement used. One of my favourite aspects of this Pelagos is the in-house movement used. It uses the caliber MT5612. The MT in the reference number denotes manufactured Tudor, so it's an in-house movement. The previous version of the Pelagos used a modified ETA movement, and that only had 3 lines of text on the dial, which I think was a cleaner look. But however, the Caliber MT5612 is a superior movement to the ETA version. It's cost chronometer certified and it's been in use since 2015, so it's a reliable, well-proven in-house movement. It has 26 joules, it runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. 70-hour power reserve is very impressive, and it has hand winding and hacking, which are useful complications. It's cost chronometer certified, so being a cost chronometer, it has to meet the requirements of being -4 to +6 seconds per day. This one has been very well regulated, and it's running consistently at +2 seconds per day when it's fully wound to its 70-hour power reserve. So it's a technically excellent movement, reliable, well proven. It's been in use since 2015, no reliability issues whatsoever, and it's also got an impressive power reserve of 70 hours, which is a notable improvement over the ETA version which was previously used. So I really like it. The Caliber MT5612 has very similar architecture to the movement used in the Tudor Black Bay 41 and also the Tudor Black Bay 58. The only notable difference between the architecture of the two movements is that the Caliber MT5612 has an extra joule added. The Black Bay and also the Black Bay 58 movement has 25 joules, but that is because they lack the date complication. This Caliber MT5612 has a date complication in the Pelagos, and it also has an additional joule added, 26 joules rather than the 25 joules of the movement used in the Black Bay. But regardless of that, the architecture of both movements are the same, so they are very well proven movements. So outstanding movement, accurate, reliable, cost certified, chronometer level. It really is the perfect choice for the Pelagos. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price points. The Caliber MT5612 is reason enough to purchase this piece. It really is loaded with specification, 70-hour and cost certified. The rest of the specification of this Pelagos is outstanding. It is fully loaded. Fully loomed ceramic bezel inserts, clear AR coating on the underside of the sapphire crystal, and it has 500 meters of water resistance. It has a helium escape valve, as you can see. So this really does rival the Rolex Sea Dweller. It is superior in specification in terms of its water resistance and the loomed ceramic bezel insert. It's superior to a Rolex Submariner date because the Submariner date, as I've discussed, uses platinum inlaid into the ceramic rather than superluminova or chromolite. So I really think that this is a better bezel used on the Pelagos rather than the Submariner date, and I would like to see Rolex use a fully loomed ceramic bezel insert rather than using cerachrome infilled with platinum. The other notable upgrade which I really like about this Pelagos, as I've discussed, is the use of the 4 ceramic ball bearings, which again is superior to the Rolex Glide Lock clasp used on the Submariner and Submariner dates, which uses oyster steel ball bearings. These ceramic ball bearings are better, they are higher grade, and one could argue that the spring-loaded clasp has a better action because it's self-adjusting versus the Rolex Glide Lock, which does give on-the-fly adjustment, but one has to take it off the wrist in order to deploy the Glide Lock to move it around. So this is self-adjusting with a spring-loaded action, and that means that the bracelet adjusts itself. So there are several innovations with this Pelagos which make it interesting and also superior to the Submariner dates, but bear in mind it is significantly less expensive at €4,330. It's the kind of specifications one would expect with a €10,000 high tier piece. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. Yes, this is unquestionably excellent value, and yes, it is unquestionably excellent quality. This watch has no negatives whatsoever. It is one of the greatest Tudor watches ever made, and it has one of the greatest Tudor in-house calibers ever made. The Caliber MT5612 is outstanding. So I'm going to highly recommend it to you for your consideration. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Tudor Pelagos reference 25600TB. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.